Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Miami-based jazz saxophonist and composer Camilo Valencia. He opened up with us about his new 2022 CD called Made in Miami. This album was 20 years in the making and features world-class musicians like the great Arturo Sandoval. Miami is often called the bridge to the Americas, and it's the playground and inspiration for his work that fuses music styles from many of its different cultures and its elements like pop, jazz, funk, R&B, BeBop, Songo, Salsa, Samba, and Afro-Cuban that make it unique. Camilo was born in Cuba and started his musical career in the 70s in Miami. He's got a great, rich story. Enjoy.
Right on. Hey, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, man.
So talk to me a little bit about Made in Miami. You know, it's coming out now with the COVID slowing down, live shows are heating up, the sun is shining. How does this release feel?
It is shining here in Miami, the sun. So, yeah, this is a work that I've been doing for 20 years already. I started exactly 20 years ago after I had a heart transplant 20 years ago. And so right after that, I started, the only place that I could walk to when they sent me home was from my bed to my bathroom, and to here I have my studio in the living room of my house. And so I started working on a song that I called CCU, which means Coronary Care Unit, and I dedicated it to University of Miami and Jackson Memorial Hospital, and the people at Cleveland Clinic, the team, transplant team at Cleveland Clinic Weston. And so I started with one song. Before you know it, some of the friends, musician friends that I have here, they wanted to be part of the song, and so little by little we started working on the song 20 years ago. And Ed Kaye, my dear friend Ed Kaye, said I want a solo on it, and I got him to do a solo on the song. And then Jason Carter, trumpet player, also from Miami now, he lives all over I think in Kansas City, and so we did the song 20 years ago, and you're gonna hear a solo that is 20 years old from Ed Kaye and from Jason Carter. So yeah, we started this project 20 years ago, and that we've been building on it through the years, and eventually, finally, we're putting it out.
Wow, that's amazing. That long. Now, is Arturo Sandoval on the album?
Arturo is on the album. Julio Diaz is one of the trumpet players in the album, one of the guys who really pushed me to do this, and he's a friend of Arturo Sandoval. And I did an arrangement of Misty, the song from many years ago, a wonderful song. And so Arturo heard the stuff that I was doing, and he said, "Can I play on it?" He asked Julio if he could play on it. I said, "Yeah." Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. So he's on the album. He plays the melody at the beginning of the song, and then actually Julio Diaz takes over after the piano and the solo, the band solo, and so Julio takes after that. But he plays all of the front part of the song. Arturo is a great guy, a wonderful trumpeter, world class.
That's wonderful. You know, the thing that always amazes me when I talk to Cuban-born musicians is there's such an infectious joy. There's such a vivaciousness that goes in. And I find it unfortunate that the relations between America and Cuba have been so strained, because every time I get the chance to talk to musicians actually from Cuba, it's just very contrary to everything we hear about the relations between, obviously the governments. But it's like there is such a joy, and I'm curious, what is it about Cuba that brings so much joy into the people? Because obviously the music's a big deal.
The music is a big deal. I think the culture is also part of all of this. There's a lot of music in Cuban culture. From the beginning of many years ago doing charangas, to the music we hear today. We hear all those kids coming out of Cuba, and they play with such energy and such attitude. A lot of the time, some of the bands that I hear, they may not be the best bands in tune. The horns are not really in tune, but I don't care when I hear that stuff, because the attitude and the energy they put into it is wonderful, and it's a huge part of that. Obviously, the government, they have a terrible government over there that is it's killing the people, and there's no real freedom. I mean, when you talk about Paquito de Rivera, saxophone player, famous saxophone player from Cuba, that they actually took his saxophone away because he was playing jazz, and there was a time in Cuba where they did not permit them to play jazz because it was American music, so whatever, you know. So I mean, it's a horrible what's happening over there. But the music is escape for a lot of those kids. A lot of the musicians that come out of Cuba. In Cuba, if you're a really good sports figure, or if you are a musician, you are able to travel. Because if not, you cannot get out of Cuba. So these guys, there's a lot of Cuban musicians and sports figures that they see the world outside of what's going on in Cuba, and they, you know, a lot of them tend to leave the country eventually when they can leave, or they'll stay on a trip whenever they go on tour to Europe or to now the United States. Sometimes some of them ask for asylum. But yeah, the energy and the Cuban history, the music history, it's amazing. It's an amazing, you know, history.
Oh, I sense it. I feel it every time. So when did you come to the United States, and what was that like when you actually got to America?
I came to the States in 1971. I was 11 years old. And that was amazing when we came over here. I mean, I remember so many little details of stuff I've never seen or stuff I've never tried. Like, for example, a Whopper. The first time I tried a Whopper, it was heaven. It was, yes. This is a good commercial for Burger King, but it was heaven for me at that time when I tried it. I was not used to either ketchup or, you know, mayonnaise, or putting all the cheese, you know, melted cheese with the beef, and the whole combination of that tasted like heaven. Little things like the lighting on the streets, it was like daytime for me at night, because in Cuba they would knock down the electricity and you had no lights. There was so many things, and listening to radio, that's another thing, so many radio stations that they had, and I think back now, they didn't have that many radio stations, you know, but back then, the difference was amazing from where I came from, you know. The music also. You get to Miami, and at the time, you didn't have that many, it wasn't that diverse in the sense that we had Cubans and we had some Haitians, but not as many as we have today. Today, Miami is almost like, you know, a combination of South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. It's all here. And they have communities that have all of these different cultures where you're listening to all kinds of different music, which is part of the influence I had on this album that I have that I called it Made in Miami. You know, you have funk and jazz and R&B and BeBop and Songo and Salsa and you know, Afro Cuban and Haitian and Dominican and Puerto Rican. It's amazing, all the stuff you hear here in Miami. So yeah, Miami's a way different city.
Yeah, and I was going to get into that. You just answered that question. But I'm curious, when you got over here to America, what was the first, you know, maybe live jazz or live show in general that you saw that really blew you away and made you think, man, I want to do that someday?
Well, my brother, we had to send my brother to Spain because it was faster to get out of the country through Spain than through straight to the United States. And my brother was about to be 15 years old, which is military age for Cuba. If he gets to 15, he cannot leave Cuba until he's 24. So we send him to Spain. We have family in Spain. We send him to Spain. And then after we were here in 71, 6 months later, he came from Spain. And my brother was already a musician by the time he came here. My brother, Rafael Valencia, bass player, he was the number one call for sessions in Miami for many years. And so he's the one that really got me into music. But I was listening, the first time that I went to see anybody play was my brother. He had a band. And then in that band, he told me, we need a saxophone player. So you're going to be it. I said, really? I don't even know, you know, what to play. Nothing, you know. So he actually got me Pedro Chao, who used to work, I believe, with the Stan Kenton band, to teach me at the beginning. And then I switched from Pedro Chao. I started taking tenor saxophone with him, and I started switching with different teachers as time went on. You know, I ended up with Ed Calle as one of my teachers. Yeah, it was my brother's band the first time I heard it, but really, I liked music because I was listening to it through my brother. My brother was listening to Return to Forever, and he was listening to, all kinds of jazz, and Earth, Wind and Fire was my favorite band. And so, he got me into the music business.
So what do you like the best about being a musician? Obviously this album's a long time in the making. Things are opening up. It's obviously your love in life, but what do you like the most about being a professional musician?
You get the girls.
There you go.
Actually, you get the girls after the singer, and the drummer gets whichever girl they want to get. No, that's it. I'm just playing there. But what I like about music and the music business is that sometimes in music, first of all, you're doing something that you really like, and they're actually paying you for it. The other thing is you get to live. If you are lucky enough to start traveling with different artists around the world, you almost get to live at times like, I don't know, like a tourist or a millionaire, or, it's jumping from one city to another, one country to another. The cultures are so different. You get to become a world traveler, like a tourist, and at the same time, there's times where you're playing for millionaires and they treat you like millionaire. Even though it's very hard to make a living out of music, there are times when you really enjoy being around and getting paid for it and playing.
That's beautiful. Hey, man, thank you for opening up today about the new album. I'm looking forward to playing it on the show. Good luck with everything as we open up and more live shows and things happen. So I appreciate you sharing your story, man.
Yeah, man, thanks for the call, and I hope you like the album. I check it out. I think it's pretty original, and it's fun, I think. So
Absolutely.
Please check it out. Thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Miami, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Camilo for his time, energy, and cool. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.